New Year is approaching, and last year China gave us two gifts. One was the virus, and second was the border clash. So, what gift should we give in 2021? Hello, everyone.
I am Rahul Devdhar.
I am Prasanna Naidu, and you are listening to the Right Views podcast. Okay, so talking about gifts, I haven't received any gifts for New Year's, Rahul sir. Have you?
Not yet, not yet. No Diwali gift
Okay.
this year also.
Diwali was a home quarantine. Okay.
Thanks to China.
Yeah, thanks to China. And anyway, so we were talking about that last year they gave us two terrific gifts, but still our border talks are going on, like military talks, which you started then, and the status quo has not changed. So, but still we are talking to them and talking to them. So, is this? I mean, what other ways we can use to counter China?
Actually, that's a very nice question because, in fact, last week we reviewed a very interesting book called Stealth War by General Robert Spalding, which documents the kind of Chinese offensive against America. And I think at the very basic, we should definitely learn from what China is being doing to other countries and calibrate our own response to China. In fact, if you haven't read the, if you haven't watched our book review video, please do watch it on our YouTube channel. We'll put the link in the description. And the basic premise that we should look at is that Chinese vulnerability. So even though we are discussing India versus China, what we need to understand is that when responding to China, we have to look at China as a whole, not just what its relation to India is. So for example, China's vulnerabilities at the moment are on the economic side. So there are considerable economic pressures put by the developed countries on China, which have led to supply chains shifting from China into ASEAN, and some are also moving to India. So these are the economic vulnerabilities of China. Also, China has done one very big mistake, and that is that China has antagonized various nations. In fact, it keeps threatening Taiwan. It has, in fact, one of the things that we should highlight is that Joshua Wong, who is the activist from Hong Kong, and Agnes Chow and Ivan, forget Ivan Lim, have been arrested and detained by Chinese authorities, and at least Joshua Wong is in solitary confinement for at least few weeks, and this is solitary confinement for long periods of time is an international human rights violation. So there is issues that are happening in Hong Kong, there are issues that are happening in Taiwan, there is a clash, sort of mini clash going on over the islands near Philippines. Then there is border clash with India, there is border clash with Nepal, Bhutan, there is disruption in the Balochistan sector of CPEC, which is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which connects Gwadar to the BRI in China. So at the same time, there is economic dispute.
Also, they were claiming some territories of Kazakhstan, by the way.
Yeah, they keep claiming everything, and there is also these territorial disputes, and they have territorial disputes with almost everyone. In fact, they have also territorial disputes with Russia, where
yeah, Russia is also, but they don't have any dispute with Mongolia, despite having a long border.
Yeah, they had a big wall constructed for 1,000 years for keeping the Mongols out, even though
Oh.
That because Mongolia is also like a dependency state. They don't have a dispute with North Korea also, but North Korea being North Korea, and they are, I think, a pseudo vassal state. Mongolia is not so clear. I mean, let's be fair. But Mongolia has got a lot of dependency on China because they are landlocked, and certain cities in Russia, which border on the eastern side, which are closer to China, they have also been held hostage to Chinese influence because these countries have like casinos, and they have set up casinos and all such kind of infrastructure which Chinese enjoy to go to casinos. And there is a dependency there also. There is a dispute with Japan. There is economic and political dispute with Japan. There is also economic dispute with US, and furthermore, there are disputes with Australia, New Zealand. Now, all over there are disputes,
Yeah,
and
we must not be surprised if they claim territory of Hawaii.
uh,
Because
no, that will be a straight attack on the US sovereignty. That will be a big problem for them. But yes, you may be surprised. There is the island next to Hawaii which is not being claimed, and they'll say, Chinese settlers have been there for like millions of years, even before there were dinosaurs. That time Chinese settlers were there. In fact, Chinese dinosaur bones were found in that island. That also may be claimed. But anyways, that on the lighter side, but they have antagonized many nations, and that presents an opportunity in itself. The third pillar of our response should be based on the internal strife in China, which is happening in Hong Kong, and which is also happening in Tibet and in Xinjiang, or the Uyghur population. There is unrest brewing there. We should use these three, and we should calibrate our response, which is basically starting from, which we can call mild or non-disruptive kind of response, to a straightforward disruptive response. Now, whether we undertake this response or not, but we should be prepared to act on all of them at a moment's notice. So what we can say is, Indian departments, including the military, the army, the armed forces in general, in total, as well as intelligence agencies, as well as economic and financial agencies, external affairs, all they should have a well-developed playbook to activate on all these fronts when it is required. Now, this cannot be shared because there is a lot of risk of Chinese spying within India. So that is there's a big risk, and of this kind of playbook being leaked. So we have to be careful. We have to plan it in sort of high level confidential spheres, but we should have a playbook ready on all three fronts. So that is definitely there. So we can discuss more about each of these responses as probably
yeah, so let's start with the responses. How we must start. Like there are many things we can do. So how should we start?
So, first of all, if you see from the non-disruptive side, so the first of all, what I would say is that we should encourage trade responses to Chinese goods or against Chinese goods and services across the world. So whoever, like US is, we should help US and all the countries who are trying to build a anti-China trade package. We should help them. Like, US has been helping countries which are affected by BRI. So they are helping with providing consultation, negotiation officers, negotiation training to renegotiate these BRI loans, which are very high, cost loans. So, for example, if you have been given a port by China, then the American negotiators help you to renegotiate the terms of the port so that you don't lose the port, as well as you are able to keep China at bay. So that kind of support we can provide to all the tier 2 and tier 3 countries, particularly from Africa, particularly from South America, who are supplying important raw materials to these countries, to China. These countries who are supplying raw material to China. And particularly we should flag countries who are supplying rare earths, and because that is a big bottleneck for the global value chain. So if you can help these countries to renegotiate their agreements and block China from rare earth access to rare earths, then we'll have achieved something. Secondly, we can prosecute Chinese companies for violation of everything from consumer disputes to environmental violations to trade disputes, anti-dumping. You can prosecute them on Indian territory for whatever violations you come across. So if someone is bringing these throwaway battery cells, right, or someone is bringing in low quality products, so you can say that this product contains lead and therefore it is harmful, so the supplier has to bear the cost. So whoever is that, we will not be able to follow this supplier in China and make him pay for it. But what we'll do is we'll increase the cost of, these companies to operate in India. So Chinese companies will not be able to operate in India. So that is how we increase the cost. These are non-tariff barriers. They are raised against Indian products or Chinese products by all countries across the world. So this is part of the WTO framework which is there. Secondly, what we can do is, one of the very important thing that India can do is to support ASEAN. Now, ASEAN has got a big vulnerability, and ASEAN is a very big economic driver of growth in Asia. Now, there are two reasons for that. ASEAN also has a lot of intellectual property, but it does not have a big market. Okay. Now, RCEP, we discussed last time, RCEP, why it is not much of value to us, but ASEAN itself is of value to us, and ASEAN also needs support. ASEAN is indulging in RCEP because it is threatened by China and there is no one to help it. Okay. So US by its very presence will guarantee the freedom for our ASEAN region, but India should also step up along with Australia. So this Quad setup, if you can help ASEAN and connect ASEAN with the Quad and the trade network, which is non-China trade network, then we will have another beneficial supply chain, and RCEP will not be economically dependent on China. So the less people are dependent on China and less they are away from the Chinese value chain, they will be much easier to side with the free countries, which is US, India, Australia, rather than a dictatorial country, which is like China or Iran or this group. So basically what we'll end up achieving is separating China, Iran, North Korea into a separate axis. But that's part of the game. But there is another way to deal with economic vulnerability of China, is that India and all other countries should ask for the same exemptions that China has from WTO. So when China joined WTO, it was supposed to do certain things, including better accounting of its firm, separating state control from private ownership, access to private rights, repatriation of capital. So India should also be allowed. We don't want it, because, but the thing is that will highlight that China has not complied with these regulations. So we should say कि जैसे हम लोग court में, when on the court, what they do is they don't say कि he has broken the law. They say कि you have allowed him this benefit, so you should allow me also this benefit. Then the court says कि I cannot allow you this benefit, but then equality of before law, right? You have allowed him, so why can't you allow me? Then court says you don't allow him also. So that is what we try to achieve. So we say, we want the same exemptions as China. We will have a separate accounting standard, which will be so, non-transparent that no one will be able to know whose company it is. So, many Chidambaram will be in favor of such kind of proposals because he loves this kind of ideas. And then we will ask for, variety of compliances which have been exempted for China be exempted for us, and not just India, but also all other countries who are, signatories to WTO, who we have access to. They can also access, why can't we have the same benefits? Then the WTO court will say, we can't allow you this. Then why are you allowing China? So that kind of pressure we can build up on China.
How did China get these concessions?
China did not get this concession. In fact, China promised that they will implement this reform in the next 2 years, 3 years, but they never implemented. And US has been turning a blind eye to it because US was not very focused on countering China. But now US is, so US will also help. Okay. So, but that avenue to create dispute has to be created. You can't simply come out and say China has not complied with WTO. You can say, let's say 20 countries, including, let's say, I'm just giving random example, Nigeria, Kenya, Brazil, Argentina, Australia, all they apply for exemptions similar to China. Then they, the WTO, whoever is the authority, they say we cannot grant you these kind of exemptions. They say why? China has been granted. We can raise a dispute, and then that can go on. It is a non-disruptive response, but it is just irritating. Okay. So the thing is, these are all the things that create headlines, but these are also putting a pressure on China to comply with these regulations. So because China, the main problem is they don't allow the capital to go out of the country. If they allow the capital to go out of the country, then a lot of capital will go out. And that will be a problem, financial problem for China. Okay. So another thing what you can do is all the countries which are, the Quad or anti-China countries, let's say, they should ask for any company making an investment into their country. They should ask for disclosure about Chinese ownership. What is the direct or indirect Chinese ownership in this company? So, for example, today I heard that Norwegian sovereign wealth fund, which invests money of Norway, the head of that, his wife was Chinese. Okay, so he was refused security clearance.
Similar point was raised by India regarding the RCEP negotiation, right? And that's why that was one of the reasons India didn't join RCEP.
Exactly. So this every country should raise. Whenever you are investing, there are many things you have to keep, Money Laundering Act, this, that, but you should also disclose how much of your interest is controlled by China. So this is mandatory disclosure. So this will make all the companies alert to what kind of investments is being made by China, and that whole thing will become a pressure point. So this is the economic side. Now antagonizing China. So what you can do is basically the first country that China has antagonized is India. Okay. Now everywhere there are Chinese money has come into India, including in universities, Maoist insurgency, all these places. China is providing funds for separatism. Okay. So all these funds have to be tracked and weeded out. You just go after them. And not just in India, but all the countries who are faced with this, they should start sort of flushing out these Chinese influences from the country, including if you are being sponsored by China, you have to disclose. If you are going to China, you have to disclose. So there is a big restriction that comes to you from variety of points. So this is the common response by the countries which are antagonized, China is antagonized. Then another part, which is what we can do on the strategic side, is to try and establish that the North Korean proliferation within North Korea cannot make its own steel. It cannot make its own, computers. How is it able to make its own missiles? That question is clearly pointing to China. Now, I had an interaction with one of the China scholars here, and I told him, what do you think about North Korea? Do you think North Korea is a complete vassal state operated by China and completely at beck and call of China? So he said, no, that cannot be. How can that be? It's like a, complete, this I'm talking about 2-3 years ago. And now in this book, which I just reviewed, Stealth War, General Spalding says that there's no chance North Korea is not a Chinese operated state. There is no chance that North Korea has received this missile technology or whatever arms technology from anywhere else. It's only China.
Also, they don't have access to the global internet. They may be having some of their local network, but still, there have been many cases, many financial frauds, cyber attacks, through which money has been siphoned, and it has been traced somewhere in North Korea only.
Correct.
So, if they are not able to access internet, how can they do such cyber attacks?
Exactly. This is exactly, that's what you're saying is right. Not just, it's a blatant disregard. It doesn't fit any logic. Now there can be 10 experts in North Korea who are just doing all these attacks. It's possible. I agree. But, the expertise that you are developing needs that widespread base. Which means if there are 100,000 computer users, then you will find those 10 super smart hackers who can take the money from Bangladesh bank, and central bank was robbed, and those kinds of things can only be done by super experts. And I'm sure this is China training them, or China doing them also, doing on their behalf also. So you have to expose this either through articles or experts or information, leaking this information to press media, that it is in fact the Chinese operation of which is helping North Korea and creating a disturbance in Japan and South Korea, and this North Asian regions are being disrupted and challenged by North Korea. North Korea is nothing but China. And once this is sort of made public, then you have to build pressure on Russia, because Russia is a source of natural wealth, which is basically mineral wealth, including oil and others, to not indulge with China. Now that is difficult for US, but it is possible for India, because Russia is friends with India. Okay. If US says that Russia is okay, China is not, then people will say that Donald Trump is pro-Russia.
No, but why will Russia agree to that or listen to us? Because is there any
Russia doesn't trust China. Russia doesn't trust China. Okay,
but they have good relations with them too.
That is because China is paying them and no one else is paying them. Okay, so Russia wants market for its own goods. Okay, if Russia has got 100 barrels of oil and world is demanding 110 barrels from Russia would rather sell to world and say or tell China that we will give you 10 barrels for whatever oil, but you pay us double or something like that. So that will pin China a little more. So that is what on the non-disruptive side we can take action. But when we go to mixed side, you will have to get your hands dirty. So for example, you have to then actively support companies from Taiwan and Hong Kong. You have to meet the Taiwanese Prime Minister. You have to meet Dalai Lama, Narendra Modi should meet, or the Prime Minister should meet Dalai Lama, or Tibetans should be given some, formal recognition as a part of Indian state.
Yeah, I don't understand why are we not doing these things like Taiwan and Tibet cards must be played.
Exactly.
I don't think there's much harm in that.
See, there is no harm is not true. What happens is that to play these cards, you need to be economically strong. So, because unfortunately our economy is not doing well, and once our economy starts doing well, and we are growing at 15% nominal, or like even 10% real GDP growth, over a period of 2, 3, 4 years, we will get all this muscle to do all this, that is definitely the case. Okay. So
If
don't,
we or can we or if we transfer all trade relations from China to other countries, I think that would be a good solution.
see, first of all, to transfer that, we have to first think, that's what, first we have to build our own economic, cover our own economic vulnerabilities. And that requires economic development. Okay. So we
Yeah,
cannot,
you are talking about the manufacturing part and then we will start selling to others, right? I'm not talking about that. If we are
uh-huh,
importing certain things from China, why
uh,
not import all of those things from US, Russia, Australia, Japan, maybe from ASEAN
the,
countries?
that is, in fact, that on that topic, and we'll be putting out a video on how China has depleted this capacity across the world. So it's not that India can source it from anywhere else. All countries are sourcing it from China only. So
Okay.
if you see the Chinese production manufacturing capacity in certain aspects is way higher than the global demand for that. So for example, things like there is a whole town in China which only does zippers. Okay. Zippers for pants, for jackets, for, you name it. If there is a zipper on that, it is coming from that town. Now, nobody who wants to make zippers can make those zippers at that price, because China is, crazily over. There is overcapacity at the enormous scale. To achieve that economies of scale for someone else like India or any other country is, it's a very difficult deal. Now, that is also applicable to many such things. Buttons, using, there was an article where the uh, Ganesha idols which we put in the cars and vehicles, those are made in China. The Diwali lights are being made in China, because the scale of operations there is so high that no country is able to compete with them. Now, how they have created? They've created it to kill the manufacturing in other countries. That is precisely what is the violation of the trade law. This is the trade war which they have played with America, with Europe, but they've also played the same trade war with everyone in the whole wide world. That's why there is no manufacturing capacity has depleted even in ASEAN, because ASEAN was the next beneficiary. After this, ASEAN should have benefited. These companies moved from ASEAN into China, and then, China has been manufacturing all these things. So it's not easy to get detached from China, but it will have to be done. Who can detach? India can. So we have to set up all these infrastructures to make these zippers. All this investment has to be done in a consortium way, in a very smart way, very quickly. That has to be done by India. Once you set it up, then world will have an alternative. Instead of going to China, you can go to India. Yes, we'll pay you 5% more, but we will definitely get a product from a globally compliant, or democracy. Not
Can African countries play a role here?
African countries are actually indebted to China. So if you can unlock them from China, we can use them for this low cost manufacturing.
Hmm.
So that is there. So like you were saying, this active support has to come for Taiwan and Hong Kong companies by India, by whoever wants to counter China, and we have to help them create that. Secondly, like you were saying, Tibet. The third part is the Uyghur issues, and India has a lot of Muslim population. Okay, so India should raise the question of Uyghurs. We have a moral right to raise that question. So we can say ki, while nobody else is raising, we want to raise this question. And Saudi Arabia and all these, they will be happy to raise this because they are, in some way aligned with America, not China. So the third part is a little bit contentious, and this is what we are calling a mixed response. Okay, so some contentious issues will be there. So we should start meddling in the POK which Pakistan gave to China, the area of POK which Pakistan gave to China. We should start claiming that it's not in Pakistan's control. It has to be in our control. Either we fly reconnaissance aircraft there, whatever, some way we have to create that, create some activity on that area. So that is very important. And finally, we can help the Baloch people to sort of destroy the CPEC, because CPEC goes through Balochistan. It has got high vulnerability in the Balochistan area, and we should help them disconnect Gwadar from the North BRI point. So CPEC, if it is not successful, China will have lost much of its investment in Pakistan. So that should be one of our active agenda. It should be something on our active agenda, because we have intelligence assets in Pakistan. I'm sure, I am hoping. Okay, and we have mechanisms to influence operations or create operations in Balochistan, hopefully. Then this is the good way to hit China where it hurts, because it is strategic hurt, because you are denying them access to the Iranian oil and that part of the deal. And because Iranian oil cannot come through Afghanistan, it has to come through Balochistan. Okay, and if you control that access to Iranian oil, either it comes to Gwadar, which is pipeline based to CPEC, then it goes to BRI, or it comes overland through tankers. Okay, either way you have to disrupt that operation. So China should not be able to access Iranian oil or any Middle East oil. They can access Russian oil if they want, and we can have our negotiations with Russia as to how we can pinch them. So that is, we'll deal with that on the Russian front. But this is very important, which brings me to Russia. So Russia has got multiple relationships with China, including business relationship, including military relationship, including security and geopolitical relationships with China. They are also somewhat dependent on China monetarily, in terms of as a market for their oil and gas products, as well as whatever Russia makes that can be sold. It is in terms of minerals and raw materials. Russia is a big consumer of Chinese products. So in that aspect also, the trade is mutual, and they have this trade in yuan, so which is difficult to attack on the financial networks front. Now coming to disruptive side, and here we will have to, or even in the mixed phase, if US can impose some sanctions on China, that will be the very good, it will have a big benefit for us. And this China sanctions, like US has imposed on Iran, so assets of Chinese Communist Party members who are the assets which they own abroad
Hmm.
will be frozen. The assets of companies which are directly related to Chinese CCP, which are basically every Chinese company, will be frozen, or they will have to be monitored. And this flow of capital from West into China will be blocked. Now, if that is blocked, that will be a big step. So secondly, when we are saying that we should ask for these WTO exemptions, China has accessed Western capital by using MSCI indices, where they are part of this indices. So any country or any person like me invests in emerging market fund, so automatically 50% of that investment goes to China.
Right.
Or in Chinese companies. So they have to be eliminated from that fund. So every person who wants to invest in China will have to specifically go and invest in China. Don't make it easy for people to invest in China. Make it very tough for international non-Chinese resident investors to invest in China. So that is part of the mixed strategy only. Okay. Because now you are blocking China from multiple angles. So there is no capital inflow, and you are creating avenues for capital outflow. So we can use Hawala network or anything. There are many Chinese billionaires who want to take the money out of China because they don't like, Chinese people don't like CCP. CCP has made a lot of money. But life of Chinese billionaires everywhere in the world, a billionaire outlives a normal person. Okay. Any person who is a billionaire, his average lifespan is higher than normal person. So normal person age is 60, billionaire's age will be 80. Because they have access to higher quality healthcare. In China, normal person's life expectancy is 60, 65, 70, I don't know. But a billionaire's life expectancy is 50. It is lesser than average. If being a billionaire is a risk to your life in China. Now, why is that? And if you see that one person is there who has put out billionaires die in such a silly things. They fall off a wall and they die. Have you heard of any billionaire falling off a wall and dying? And then that person claims that this wall is only 7 feet tall. So 7 feet tall wall, any billionaire falling from that and dying is never heard of. There will be 50 people protecting him in a country like China, but they die. So they are very keen to take your money out. The question is how? There are lots of channels. If there is anyone who can launder money, there are many Indian politicians who are expert at this. Okay, who can help them and help the world. We can grant them immunity if you want. Okay. So they can use their Hawala networks and all and help Chinese billionaires. So you will get 50% of that money if you can smuggle them and their wealth out of China. There is nothing else. And with our accounting and fraud creating knowledge, expertise, we can definitely create frauds to outdo CCP.
Right.
So these are some of the mixed things. On the technology side, on the mixed front, is basically a big cyber monitoring of Chinese assets and cyber monitoring of where China is monitoring. So China is monitoring Indian assets and Indian communications, including WhatsApp. I don't know what else messaging platforms they have, and they monitor. But their AI bots are definitely monitoring many of these conversations.
How are they monitoring WhatsApp?
I don't know. So they are definitely monitoring hacking American companies and stealing their intellectual property. Now, how they are doing it? They are doing it through these messengers and email clients only. So they are not like, you send me an email of a plan of, let's say, I mean, it's not never like a submarine. Nobody sends, a nuclear submarine का plan है. ये तुमको email भेज देता हूँ. ऐसा it never happens that way. But you're definitely sending me a design plan of, let's say, very specific item of, why don't you review this design? And that design is being copied. So it is micro level intellectual property right infringement. And that cannot be done. It can be done in any ways, but the suspicion is that it is done by monitoring these chat programs like WhatsApp, like, I don't know, Google Chat or any sort of chat programs, or these professional chat like Slack, which is for office communication, and email programs. So, these kinds of embedded code is, and it is very easy to create disruption. So what happens is there are two types of hacking. So if let's say if I disrupt your thing, if I, let's say, delete all your emails, then you will know that I have infiltrated into your computer or into your laptop or your email program or whatever it is. But if I don't do anything, if I just make a copy of whatever you're doing, then it's not really disturbing you. You won't even know. In fact, let's say you're using a Lenovo laptop. Lenovo laptop backs up its entire contents, like, to help your recovery and save your data.
Yeah,
It backs up into cloud. Where is the cloud? Cloud is in China, because Lenovo is being bought by China. And Lenovo is now a Chinese company. ThinkPad laptops are backing up things in China. And you are telling me that is so secret that Chinese people cannot access it. So I doubt that. Okay, now, so whatever is these kinds of things may be happening. So I'm saying we have to track them. So Lenovo laptops, if you want to sell into India, you can't sell the Chinese. You have to set up the server in India. Backup, yes, backup is not available on Lenovo laptops in India if it's sold in India. Things like that can be enforced, or that backup is available only in India. Okay. And that backup has been monitored by Indian intelligence agencies. It does not exchange any information to China. Things like that. So all these kinds of things, that is active cyber monitoring, and that is passive, basically, because cyber monitoring of Indian assets or Indian people, that nobody is stealing from us, and actively looking at Chinese assets, what are they doing and where are they acting, and then triggering those countries. Suppose you find that China is actively tracking French companies, so then we should inform France, please look, this is the information, something like that. So in that aspect, we can join the 5 Eyes program in sort of a informal role or formal role, whatever we can negotiate into that. We can be the 6th eye, and we are India, eyes for India also. So basically that is we are the 6th eye. So we will be part of that. That is what I think we should join. And 5 Eyes can be that their integration we cannot match, but we can be like next 5. So like G20, G7 and G20 were something. So there is 5 eyes, then you have 10 eyes. So these 10 eyes will include more countries. We can share intelligence, and that will help. So this is like a mixed response to China. But then there is disruptive response. Now disruptive response means using active elements. So which means India has a air base in, I don't know where, Tajikistan, right? There is Indian Air Force has an air base in Tajikistan, okay, which is our own outside India air base. Okay, now we should help Tajikistan and try to do surveillance of BRI assets from there. So we should use that, see how we can use it to surveillance, to create surveillance on BRI, the pipeline, this, that, use drones, monitor that, create. We are doing satellite also, but this is more like in the face. Okay, because Tajikistan, China is not connected to Tajikistan, right? I mean, we
Hmm.
should ensure that is not. But I mean, you'll have to probably help Tajikistan de-link from China, okay, in all aspects that they can. So, which is what we will be doing, and then we will have to sort of use that location to sort of monitor, because I think, let me just see what has happened is that if you look at Tajikistan, Samarkand is quite close by. Samarkand is on BRI. Okay. Then
Okay.
Kashgar is a big BRI place. Now, Tajikistan, you'll have to cross entire Tajikistan. We are on the Afghanistan border of Tajikistan. So, because we are interested in monitoring Pakistan, but we can, of course, monitor Chinese assets from there, because some of our planes can do really long range surveillance. So this Samarkand, Kashgar, they are on the BRI, so you
Okay.
can do this surveillance of that, and then you have to start gathering intelligence inside China. Now that means, I think you were mentioning earlier that you have to have raw in China.
Yeah, I have like I was saying that we must have at least a separate department, separate unit focused on Chinese affairs itself, like spying completely on China of raw.
Exactly, we should be. I hope we have, and we definitely we should. But you know that is definitely important to start getting information from within China, and that will help from cyber spying, as well as helping people from the Uyghurs as well as Tibetans. They will help us in this aspect at least. We should try and engage them more often, so that you can get some more inside information about the disruptive spots within China. Then
Hmm.
I think one of the other things that we can do is we can enter into a tri-party agreement between US and Taiwan and India, and we can say to US, we will buy your F-21, we will set up manufacturing line of F-21s, and we will sell these F-21s to Taiwan.
Hmm.
So we can keep whatever 50, 100 that we want. We will give 50, 100 to Taiwan. So because US doesn't want to sell, F-16, there is a problem. Now they want to sell. So we are saying we will do it. We will also manufacture F-21s, and we will sell it to Taiwan also. So that will help both Taiwan also, and will help instigate China also. Then the third part is we should actively support border protection of Nepal and Bhutan. And not just actively, you can enter into an agreement where entire of their borders are monitored by Indian Army. And it is very critical because they are on the chicken neck part of Indian,
They
territory.
are into the Doklam area, huh?
Yes, so there we need strong monitoring. So we have to do all this. Secondly, what we can do is we have to be ready to conduct some false flag operations on Chinese assets in these bases which are in around India, the string of pearls. So like Djibouti or Gwadar. So you create a group which destroys
Hmm.
their navy, naval ship is bombed and destroyed, and some Baloch rebels have taken credit for it, or a Stinger missile just landed into the Saudi oil refinery, right? Similar missiles can be launched into Chinese naval or ships or any such infrastructure, their radar installations or something, and some attacks can be carried out by, let's say, pirates. Somali pirates attacked Chinese military and they destroyed it. We don't know anything. It's a false
No,
flag
but
operation.
these can be traceable to India. I mean, they also will be having their spy agencies on alert. So
So that
these
is
will be
why,
traceable to India.
yes, that's a risk. But this is disruptive. These are the disruptive solutions, right? So you have to
Hmm.
be ready to arm the Baloch and or arm the Somali pirates, trap 3 Somali pirates and say, we are sending you. And these kinds of things have to be done. There is no other, um, you know, if you don't have that capability, but this is the extreme end of, capability, but will have to be done, if push comes to shove or just to instigate. And it's not that you will find easily, you will find people who are against China who will be happy to help out with such kind of operations. The point is, will it be traced to India?
Hmm.
That is the question. And similar operations can be carried out against India also. You have to be alert to that also. So it's not like you know, so these are the spectrum of responses that I can think. Some of another things is that you can destroy some of these fishing trawlers, which Chinese fishing trawlers, which keep fishing across the world. They are not military assets. They are, or they are not supposed to be military assets. They are military assets, but they are at least not supposed to be. So you can destroy them and say, they try to attack, and then look at them, examine them, capture some of these boats, and then really examine them in detail. What exactly does it have? Like
Hmm.
that. So these operations can be undertaken in Indian Ocean, in faraway places like Pacific. You can say this particular fishing vessel destroyed some fishermen from, I don't know, Diego Garcia, their American bases. So it rammed into them, and then we have pursued it to South America and we sunk it like that. So some of these things will have to be done on the extreme side. So these are some of the extreme responses possible.
So now let's move on to what will be the consequences. Like even if we even if we do all of it or any of these, uh, will we achieve that goal which we want to? What are the pros and cons basically?
See, the pros, the pros and cons is basically the same, whatever we are estimating as our potential playbook. The same playbook can be played against us. Okay. So how good
Hmm.
are we in defense? That is a question we need to answer. And first you have to be strong. Okay. Then once you are strong, it's very difficult to get get you on the back foot. So you have to be prepared for these kinds of responses against us. So one of the main things to develop this playbook is to develop a response mechanism from our side. So how well equipped are we to develop, to counter such a attack or a stealth war, as Professor General Boyding calls it. How good are we to counter this stealth war? And that
Hmm.
question will have to be addressed in terms of military preparedness, civilian preparedness, economic preparedness, as well as our preparedness to act on global institutes and global platforms like WTO, like UN Security Council, like any of these platforms. There are multiple platforms and channels where we can play these games, including the game of capital mobility, the game of labor mobility. How many Chinese students are there? Who are all these Chinese students? Where are they? What are they playing games? You have to know your enemy. There is no other shortcut. And China has
But
been.
on such international platforms,
Mhm.
do you think it will be much effective? Because there had been a few cases against China in the international court, and there was a verdict against China, and China didn't abide to it. And also in UN Security Council, China has a has more weightage against also in WTO, not WTO, WHO. We all know what all happened with during the pandemic. So how can it be effective on the international platforms actually?
See, the thing is, ki, many of the diplomatic options, you will find that it has limited efficacy. But the problem is not how effective they are. The problem is that they are being used and they create an irritation. So, it's always remember one thing: you will lose $10, but to counter
Hmm.
you, China will have to lose $50. That is the advantage. Are you ready to lose $10? Why? Because you will put a case. What case you will put? You will not put a case that China has violated these terms. No, you will not go antagonizing China. You will say that I want the same benefits as China. China has got these 5 benefits which I also want. So then you say no. Okay.
Hmm.
Let them say no. We'll appeal. And we'll indulge in media campaigns. I think India deserves these 5 benefits. These Chinese have we have seen that China has got derived immense benefit. Their poverty rates have reduced dramatically. India is a very poor country. India, so it's called in uh, I don't exactly know, but in Marathi we have a saying ki ह्याचा भोळ्या माणसाचा सदरा घालायचा आणि काम करायचं असं आहे. So it's like take a cloak of innocence and
Hmm.
go around. So
Hmm. Hmm.
innocence, poor innocent person, we should use
Hmm.
Gandhian technique. And Gandhian technique, if at all we have to use, you have to remember one thing: economic hurt is the first and foremost. If economic disintegration or economic cost is being imposed on China, it's very difficult. You can have all the missiles and nuclear bombs and all. Soviet Union was never defeated in war. It could not have been defeated in war. In fact, if
Hmm.
there was a war, Russia would have beaten many of the countries. Okay, because their level of madness is comparable to ours. Okay, so we are not going to be defeated in war, but we don't want to defeat them in war. That's not our point. Our point is you can be defeated on economics, and that is where India's vulnerability lies, and that is where China's vulnerability also lies. So you become economically strong and you impair China's economics. The fundamental truth is China has grown at a very rapid pace over the past 20 years. And now in the next 20 years, it is not going to grow at that rate. And the thing is to maintain its power, the Chinese Communist Party has to grow at 6%, has to grow China at 6%. If we force them to grow at 2%, their internal strife will be very difficult to bear.
Makes sense.
You have to make a dossier about all Chinese CCP personnel, who are their family members, who are their who they have affairs with. Most of these people, Chinese CCP leaders, the top, you can say the top 1,000 leaders, they have multiple affairs. They have multiple, wives and things.
Hmm.
So you have to trap and get information, get all the negative things about them, and then get it released in public.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, now New York Times is not going to release them. Okay,
Something like WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks may even you put it on WikiLeaks. Xi Jinping has 5 affairs and he has got one wife, but he has got 5 girlfriends.
Illegitimate, huh?
then you will not be able to get it printed on any New York Times or Economist or any of these Financial Times papers. You will have to create that kind of Arnab Goswami character who will go after and say, Xi Jinping, ये कौन है? बताओ हमको. So that kind of information you will have to create. So that is the usefulness of this, and we have to learn from Pakistan here.
But why will these popular newspapers of US won't dare to do that? I mean,
They are all bought up by China.
really?
Yes,
I mean, they may have some share, but
not just that. They are being wined and dined and pampered by China. They have information sources which Chinese have groomed, and they are threatened. If you put up a map which shows Tibet not part of China, see what happens. Okay, just put up a map. Let any small sales.com or somewhere salesforce.com, they showed something, Hong Kong or someone as separate, Taiwan I think, they showed Taiwan separately and they got into trouble. So they are used, every leverage that China has is used to act against.
What will they do if India does that?
That's a second order question which India needs to be prepared for. So this is where a war game simulation comes into play. So you create a team which starts playing this game against China, and the Chinese team will respond. And I think India has more vulnerabilities than China, and that is why China is being able to succeed. See, first of all, you have to have
no, but I mean, I'm saying practically, what can they do? I mean, they do something which will hurt us to a great extent economically, and if yes, then how?
See, first of all, to that extent, to that answer to that is how well is our response calibrated with United States. Okay, if we are on United States side, then China cannot do anything economically to us. Okay, you can rest assured, if US should be on our side in this game. With Biden, I'm not that sure. Hopefully sense will be there, but these 4 years we cannot be sure Biden will. That is not, at least it's not clear until Biden comes out and clearly states what he has to say. And
also we want to stay non-aligned.
No, see, thing is non-aligned is not just our issue. Okay, we can side with US, but the thing is US itself is infiltrated with all these corrupt people. Okay, so now people are saying that Biden's son has $1 billion dealing with China. Okay, now that is not relevant. That's what they say. I don't know, but I am not sure that Biden will be as anti-China as he needs to be to protect United States itself. Protecting India is separate. I'm saying if US decides it is going to fight with China, we will side with them. But at this point, and this is exactly what happened and why RCEP was signed this time, because Obama, like we discussed in the last time, he aligned with ASEAN. He said, I will be, very, very pro-ASEAN. And then suddenly he dropped out of the whole thing. And ASEAN aligned with US against, to a certain extent, against China. Not, drastically against, but they can't be drastically against. They are there in, just close by. So physical proximity is a matter. So they can't say so many things, but they were aligning themselves towards America, and America ran away. And then you're caught in the cage with tiger, and your tiger is gone away. So who are you? The tiger is about to eat you. So this is a problem. So that's why this RCEP came into being, and this is what India will also get into. India will counter China, saying ki US is backing me up, and US will run away. And that will be a very big problem. On our own, it's very difficult to fight China. economically.
Hmm.
So we have to be strong. We have to build a multicultural, multi-point alliance, including this Quad. This Quad is very good because US cannot get out of the Quads or Five Eyes. Okay.
Hmm. So, if in the current situation, what we can for sure do is strengthening Cod, formalizing it more, working on it, and also working on our strategic communications. Not
Yes.
directly. By communications, we can indirectly hint a lot, say a lot of things against it, and that may not cause something very, like, we may not get something very big, but surely we'll irritate them a lot, and yeah,
See,
things
what you are
will get.
referring to is opinion wars. I think opinion
Mhm.
wars are very critical, and India has neglected these opinion wars for so long. And India has got a huge advantage of soft power. Okay, Chinese don't have that soft power. Now, I'm not talking about Bollywood. People think of Bollywood. It's not that. Indian culture itself is a soft power. People just come here and then they say, I'm mesmerized by India. Why? There is so much chaos, but still you are mesmerized by India. It is because it has got some inherent advantages. Because we are a unique culture in global context. Like, you know,
Yeah, our culture has more reach in the Indian subcontinent, but Bollywood has more reach in the West, plus in
Bollywood is
North.
a dramatized version of that. But what
Hmm.
people are attracted to is our family orientation, is our value system, is many of these Western culture, they are disillusioned by their, you know, religious faith systems. Okay. And they come to India and India says, explore. We are a seeking culture. So,
Hmm.
you want to believe that there is no God. Okay. You are still part of the culture and you can explore
Hmm.
that. You want to say, so that part of that culture has to be played out. Okay. And simple living, high values, those are real anchor points for West, which is losing its values. And they are looking for answers, and we have the answers. We should
Hmm.
use them, and that is the attraction of India. And we can completely, build it up. But the thing is, you have to play right. You have to see what is right, and you should create a positive opinion of India. Now, you can be creating positive opinion of India by really working on it. Now, do you know how many people Pakistan sponsors for Pakistan tourism?
No.
So there are many people in the world who are like bloggers and travel Instagram models and I don't know,
Hmm.
travel models or whatever they call it. So they run these Instagram channels of, you know, travel website. They all
Right.
put up photos of, sunset from Bali, sunset from this. Many of them are paid by Pakistan to promote Pakistan. Now, who wants to go to Pakistan? Okay, there's already a big problem there. And many of them are Western women who are being promoted. I'm saying you don't even need to promote. Whoever, is already doing it. Let's ensure that positive feedback is given, channel them, and then you will have much more interactions globally on variety of fronts. And positive messaging is always better. And at the same time, negative China messaging, negative CCP messaging, that is very critical.
Hmm.
You release how many girlfriends Xi Jinping has, or
Hmm.
his these kinds of information is very important for China. These gossip magazines. Anyways, they have no work. They keep gossiping
Hmm.
about I don't know, Britain's royal family or some of these musicians. They will gossip about the Chinese CCP members. This old Chinese CCP Wang Li, he has got 20 girlfriends. One is a
Hmm.
actress who was who disappeared for 2, 3 fortnights. You know that, right?
No.
So Wong Lee's Fan Bingbing, she's a very leading Chinese actress. She is supposed to be or was having some relationship with one of the Chinese CCP stalwarts called Wong Lee. Wong Lee is like 85 years old or something. And she is 25 or 25, and she was about to get married to this another actor like 2 years back. Suddenly she disappeared. She got tax problems, some sort of tax problems, and 2-3 weeks she disappeared from Instagram or whatever that thing is, Twitter, Instagram, whatever Chinese version is. And fans were all thinking, where is Fan Bingbing? And Fan Bingbing is like quite famous. She has appeared in some Western movies also. So then there was a lot of speculation, where is she? And then she has been hijacked, she has been kidnapped, all sorts of rumors. Then she finally appeared. So all these things you have to, all this masala you have to bring out some way. And there is enough masala to gossip. And gossip channels love masala only. There's nothing else that they work on.
Right.
So this negative CCP and positive India, this kind of opinion warfare has to be undertaken. There is no other go. And you have to de-link all these newspapers from Chinese influence, including New York Times and all. And you should ask them how much money is being paid to you by Chinese government, CCP. How much of your capital comes from CCP? What is your CCP origins? And expose them.
And to carry out all these things, we must grow exponentially in our technology sector. Without that, it is quite, because we are way behind now, way behind China at least, right?
That is not true. We have the talent. Okay. It's like our problem in all sectors. It is the same problem in technology also. We have all the talent in the world. If we decide to give that talent a chance, we can build, better satellites, better hacking, you can say artificial intelligence programs, better things than any of these countries. But we have to give them chance, no? What we will do, there will be no power. Our hackers will be sitting in a center, there is no power. Power cut is going on. What do we do? Inverter पे चल रहा है काम. हाँ, inverter पे you can't do hacking on inverter. You have to, so these kinds of things, and then you have to have that vision to develop these assets, to develop, and you can't say you'll develop them on a 2-year or something deputation. You will bring out the best IIT professor, उनको deputation पे लेके आए 6 महीने के लिए. In 6 months no one can do the hacking. What deputation are you talking about? You create those assets, give them permanent employment. Anyways, employing all these collectors and babus is a waste. Instead, you employ them.
Or else they will go to US.
No, they are. You can have as much talent as you want. I'll tell you. There was one I met in Mumbai police. The guy who handled all this mobile tracking. In fact, I met him with you only, right?
I don't remember.
So this guy told me that anytime you need this, they always say that and they don't do the work. That's a part. But anytime you need any cell phone tracking, anything, you tell me. So I said, what can you do? We can do everything, right? From call record to call recording. I said, how can you do call recording? He said, you don't worry about that. I will not tell you, you don't ask me. I will give you call recordings. I can replicate the SIM card. I will give you all messages. I can send him a message from some person to instigate a response if you want. I can do everything. You just tell me. I mean, I didn't tell him, that how much he will work is separate issue, but this is what he's saying, his capability is, and he is he's not even a main, he's just one of the officers in that cyber team. So he's not even the
Hmm.
chief or the commissioner or that kind of level. He's just one
Hmm.
of the inspector, sub-inspector, not sub-inspector. He's, I think, inspector, 3-star Thao.
Hmm.
So he's like an inspector level person in the cyber cell part of Mumbai police, which means ki
Hmm.
in the global scheme of things, he's not in the as counted as Indian asset of any value. Okay.
Hmm.
And in fact, he may not be working in cyber cell in after 2 years.
Hmm.
So if that person has got this much ability and he knows how to use this,
Hmm.
so you can imagine ki if right tools are made available to the right people, they can do anything. You just have to, think out of the box.
Hmm.
So first you highlight is economic. Okay. My first point is you be economically strong. That is the biggest con India can get into, because India is socially disrupt. You can disrupt India socially if there's no economic growth. And I will tell
Hmm.
you another, insight. The reason why all these things are going on is because there is no economic growth. The minute there is more economic growth, if India starts growing at 10% or 15% nominal, I mean 10% real or 15% nominal, you will not see anyone interested in doing time pass. Okay, they will be busy making money. So the
Hmm.
problem is ki because China has sort of impaired the manufacturing and the middle economic engine, the middle part of the economic engine, where maximum employment happens. That SME, MSME, that level of economic engine has been impaired. We'll be making a video on that. That's happening in the US also. So because that is impaired, you are having a social problem. Okay, once that social economic growth comes back, you will that social problem will ease. And that's why we need to focus on the right industries and make our economy strong. Once the economy starts growing, nobody will focus on anything, like dharna, no demonstrations. Everyone will be busy making money.
Hmm.
Of course, because
Hmm.
we need prosperity. Everyone is looking for
Hmm.
prosperity.
Hmm. But those Dharnaites are not Indian. Na? They are Rohingyas and
No, no, but the
so
Rohingya, see
they
the
are
thing,
not interested.
see dharna के लिए भी आएगा. The thing is,
Hmm.
if you are getting paid 5,000 rupees other ways for
Hmm.
dharna, who will accept 2,000 rupees?
Hmm. Yeah.
So that becomes it's a cost of opportunity cost.
Hmm.
It becomes costly to organize a dharna. वो जो बिरयानी वाली दादी or whoever is she, she's saying कि without biryani I am earning 5,000 there. Why should I come to this dharna and only get biryani?
Hmm.
So that becomes a big advantage. And economics of China is also a big point, where because China economy is becoming a problem. They have a huge balance sheet problem on the banks side. They have vulnerabilities in the Chinese state finances, where they have created innumerable assets for no valid returns. So it will work in China, but it will not work if there is no global support of their economic growth.
Hmm. Right.
And if Chinese people start taking money out of China through Hawala route, through diamonds or whatever kind of extra innovative means which some Indian politicians are very good at, you will see the
Hmm.
collapse accelerate.
Hmm. Also, if rich countries like US, European Union, and others start making sanctions against China, even
Yes.
that will do.
So a coordinated attack against China is possible. That is the very big pro today, because China has irritated many countries. It is possible to have a coordinated response against China. India can coordinate it if we are ready to work hard. And the con
Hmm.
is that our economy is vulnerable. If we start growing our economy, our con will be taken care of.
And also, this is the right time as because most of the countries are disturbed due to this pandemic, which
Exactly.
was started
should start. We
in
should. That
China.
is one interesting point which I think I missed.
But no, the virus was originated in India, according to some Chinese source.
Yes, you read that, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. No, but one of the non-disruptive responses is the investigation into the virus, because that is, you have to press that. That is a China has given us an opportunity. You should hammer it. This virus came from China. Where did it come? Was it lab developed? All sorts of things you
No,
can.
and people have become silent on this issue now, I think, right?
It is very, very. This is because China suppresses this.
Hmm.
So this has to be investigated. Why? See, the thing is, one of the interesting part of COVID responses was when you don't know anything about such a virus which is spreading fast, and we don't know its attack character or what kind of pathology it has. What you need to do is you need to take action quickly, and that is when the action point was in January and February. Okay, by February, everyone in Asia started wearing masks. Okay,
Hmm.
and they started shutting down also by end of February.
Hmm.
They say travel bans came up in January. By January, travel bans started to certain parts in China. By end of by 20th February, everything was shut down. Masks were almost everywhere, and in March, then everything started shutting off only
Hmm.
since March. So my
Since
point
March
is,
to even we shut down. Huh?
yes. So what my point is, ki US and other countries, they did not shut down because of this WHO warning. Travel can go on, this, that, go on. In fact, you should have shut down then and
Exactly.
opened up now. Okay, because you are shut down, then now you know what is happening, what kind of virus is there. There is a vaccine close by. Virus is not as deadly as it was thought of, and then we still don't know. Okay, it may be
Hmm.
deadly, but we don't know. There are multiple strain. What happened to which strain is being considered in which area? Because in US, country like US, you can have a different strain in California, different strain in New York, and what kind of different strain we don't know. Europe also may have different strain. India may have different strain. We have to know this, and then we can have a calibrated response. But at least now we know how active the virus is, how it spreads, and now it should be opening. So now they are saying ki shut down. Okay, no social distancing, this and that you should do. Okay, and that time they were very open. That is because
Yeah.
precisely you have to press WHO. Okay, why are you acting for China? You have to give this Chinese scientists, defectors, some asylum. They don't want to come to India, but nevertheless we can definitely give them asylum. So someone was saying ki, it's not possible that Amir Khan's movies are earning more in China. China may be sponsoring Amir Khan. Seriously, and they did some number crunching. Ki how many people in China have seen this movie and how much he has earned. I don't know how that numbers work, but we have to
But why? Why will China sponsor Amir Khan? And
you haven't read the Stealth War. You didn't watch my video and give it a like.
no,
Did you?
I did watch the video, huh? But I haven't read the book.
That they have been sponsoring all weirdos. Okay, so that they can never get an opinion. He will never speak against China.
He instead goes and meets Turkey's
Oh,
wife,
that
president's
is
wife.
separate issue. But I'm saying ki then what happens in that? Have you seen in that recent Hollywood movies? Chinese people are seen in good roles. They are seen as wronged. They are never seen as a villain. You see, all during Cold War, James Bond, who were the villains? All Russians or weirdos. Okay, they were the villains. Have you seen one villain which is Chinese? So there
In
was a movie called
uh,
Red Dawn. The movie
Hmm.
was that Chinese soldiers attack US, okay, and take over. That was forced by China to change it, and they made it North Korean military comes and attacks US. They land in US, take control of US cities, and then there is a war, and some Americans fight them and destroy them, something like that. But they couldn't show that there was Chinese. There's a movie called Red Dawn or something.
It sounds similar to North Korean also. I mean, I had heard some on Netflix. There was a series which they had shown North Korean president in bad light,
Hmm.
and these North Koreans took some action, which they forced Netflix to not publish it on the date they were supposed to publish. But I guess later they published it. I don't remember exactly,
Who
but
cares
yeah.
about North Korea? But people care about China, right? That's the problem.
Mm. But North Korea being such a tiny nation, they had such power to do that to
Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah.
That is the point.
No, we that is definitely, and then China definitely uses its muscle. So all these, many of these movies you will
Through
see.
North Korea.
No, not through North Korea. In these movies and Hollywood, they bought all
Hmm.
these studios and they try to portray China in good light, Chinese people in good light.
Hmm.
And we have a whole movie industry. We can't talk about
Hmm.
it because it's a waste. So,
They will show Indians in bad light.
if we weaponize our movie industry properly, then they can prosper. But they are busy doing anti-India activities. So how did they get this all this money and yeah?
Right. Okay, so to conclude, from what I get after listening to all these things, is first thing is economy. Like we have to grow exponentially on the economic side, which you have stated around, I think, 3 to 4 times in this episode itself, and because that is the root.
It is the root of our vulnerability, in fact.
Yeah, and through which we can, which will be able to take multiple other actions on multiple fronts,
Exactly.
right? Hmm. So yeah, I think we can sum it up with that only, right?
Yeah. But it is also important to develop a playbook of spectrum of responses. That is very important. Of non-disruptive response to highly disruptive responses. And build up a preparedness on all these fronts.
Yeah. And till then, because it will take time. So till then, I think we must focus more on using our whatever technology we have and trying to give a befitting reply to them. Also, strengthening our communications on that front. Like we can do a lot of things through our diplomatic communications.
Exactly. Exactly.
So on that note, let's end this episode here. Do check out that video which Rahul sir talked about the stealth war, and also read that book if you can. And also follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and do tweet us. What do you think about this episode? What do you have any other point which we missed? Do tweet us. And thank you for listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you.